Welcome to today's edition of ISM's Quick Tips podcast series. I'm Jaqui Yamada, a consultant with Independent School Management. Thank you for joining me today as I discuss the importance of knowing when your international students travel, domestically and internationally, and then know how it can affect their visa status. It should be noted that the content of this video is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as legal advice. International programs are up and running now. Students should be fully enrolled, matriculated, and registered in SEVIS as active and no longer in initial status. Now is the time to outline best practices on how to prepare students and the school PDSO-DSO team for winter break vacation departures. Given the ease with which today's students and their families can make travel plans and reservations online from virtually anywhere in the world, it is critical for your school to provide some guidelines in advance. Today, from any point of origin, travel plans may be made simply with a valid credit card and often without any verification of age at the time of purchase. Yet there are indeed numerous travel restrictions by age in place here in the U.S. This can create unwanted safety issues for your international students and unmitigated risks for your school. In reality, those modes of transportation within the United States do not operate as seamlessly nor securely as the systems in place in other countries, especially those within Asia and Europe. Many states, as well as the independent carriers, airlines, train lines, and bus lines, have strict regulations regarding the transport of unaccompanied minors. However, these regulations are often obscurely noted within the fine print agreements to transport at the point of sale, and most often without any verification of age required. The transportation carriers expect knowledge of and total compliance with these regulations, putting the onus and liability on the consumer. The consumer, again, being a minor student or an uninformed, unaware, non-English speaking parent, either of which may not fully understand the various restrictions. While they may miss the outlined restrictions unintentionally, the responsibility still exists for all. This does not fit well with the F1 visa requirements to maintain status. As a part of their F1 visa requirements, the international students must follow all state and federal laws as stipulated in order to maintain status. Ignorance is not a defense to not complying with the law, no matter the origin. The Student in Exchange Visitor Program, SEVP, directs students to check in with their school's DSO to obtain permission to travel. In granting permission to the minor international student, you further assume liability and knowledge of travel for the student. So as a school, how should you educate these students and your international families properly and fastidiously? First, make certain to know the laws and basic rules of engagement of your state and the various regulations governing transport and travel of unaccompanied minors. In addition to know the governing regulations stipulated by the various airlines, train, and bus lines. A new arena, not to be overlooked, is the unique and varied car transport services such as the all-popular Uber and Lyft. So it is important to understand that with the responsibility of custody comes care and control, knowing where your students are and especially with whom during extended breaks is a part of best practices. Make certain to develop a policy, protocol, and process for students requesting time away from your campus or care for either a night, weekend, or extended break period. Help prepare your students for their intended travel by reviewing the school's expectations and then the greater legal rules and regulations governing their travel. Additionally, be prepared to educate your school team and your international students for their return once they travel outside of the U.S. Expectations should be clearly outlined and reviewed, particularly regarding the Custom and Border Patrol procedures at ports of entry. Let's review a list of must-have documents for port of entry return: passports, visa, Form I-20 with page 2 signed, Form I-94, accept and enroll letter complete with the school's logo and not simply a printed email correspondence, 24/7 contact info of your school's PDSO/DSO team, and official airline travel itinerary. Your school should have color-scanned copies of these same documents within the student's file, readied electronically in the event of an RFE, request for evidence, is issued. Your DSO team should make certain to check in with SEVP SEVIS guidelines for the most recent updates to this often changing list of required documentation. Remind students that these documents should be readily accessible for inspection upon arrival, therefore not within checked luggage. Advising your students in this capacity can avoid the need for a secondary inspection. I hope this information has proved helpful today. Thank you for joining me in preparation for student travel. For additional resources, make certain to visit isminc.com. And don't forget to check out upcoming workshops and webinars, and stay connected to the latest from ISM by signing up for our free monthly newsletters.